Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Just Saying Football with Jack and Sean. I'm your host, Sean Gannon, alongside my partner, Jack McNicholas. We're here to bring you news, notes, weekly updates, and game analysis of your favorite teams from around the league. Now the chance, go check out our website, justsayingfootball.com. Follow us on Instagram at JustSayingNoGWJS for article and video updates. And don't forget us in your ears on Spotify at Just Saying Football. Week 7 is in the book. We are now into Week 8. In the middle of the regular season, in the middle of fantasy season as it is, and we have a big week of buys coming up. We'll get to that in a second. How are you feeling? Both of our teams taking huge L's. Rough one for us, man.
Yeah, dude, we knew that last week was going to be uphill battles for both of our teams, but, man, did we not expect to just fall down the mountain like that. I will say, there were hard-fought battles, but both of our teams, they've obviously had, a couple injuries on both sides. You can kind of see how it's affecting these teams. But, man, luckily, on this episode, we get to talk about your team first. So I can at least boil my feelings about the Giants and their 33-point blown loss. Yes, we're absolutely going to get into that.
We will be getting into that. Just to let everybody know, 6 teams on a bye. We got Cardinals, Lions, Jaguars, Raiders, Rams, and Seahawks. Some key players in this one are going to be out for your fantasy lineup, so make sure you get the waiver wires checked in Tuesday night ASAP. Let's get into this. Thursday night football. We have my Minnesota Vikings making their way to Los Angeles to take on the Chargers. Chargers favored this by -3 with an over-under here of 44.5. Minnesota just honestly last week top down. I missed most of the game because of work, but just all of it was bad. We could not stop anything that the Eagles had going for them except the run. That was also because Barkley got a little bit banged up in that one. But their passing offense was all over the place. Is there any hope for them against this Chargers team?
Yeah, man, I think there is. I think, obviously, this has been, like we just said, an injury that just, with the quarterback to J.J. McCarthy, we don't know if it would have been better or not, but it definitely would have been better if the offensive line was healthy. These teams both banged up on the offensive line, so I'm expecting, these quarterbacks to be just on the move. We see the Chargers right now having to use all 3 of their weapons to get by as they're kind of adjusting to life with Vidal as their running back. But the Vikings, man, they have it. They have the team that they need. T.J. Hawkinson getting that touchdown call back last week is obviously huge. We thought J.J. got the score like you were saying last week, just only one on the season. So, I do think this could be a get-right game for them, short week, and I trust them more than the Chargers right now because I think they'll use Jordan Mason a lot more in this game to just try to keep the ball out of Herbert's hands. So I'm going to go with Minnesota on the road on the short week.
I hope that they use Jordan Mason more, especially in the red zone. We kept going back to the pass on first down, second down, third down, fourth downs even. We just were not able to get it done. Part of that was a bad offensive line play, like you said. Brian O'Neill not being out there is definitely hindering us. Not having our starting center in Ryan Kelly out there is hindering us. So we do have things like that going on, absolutely. But got to run the ball more in the red zone. Got to run the ball better efficiently. I'm going with the Chargers here. I just feel like after last week, Vikings are coming on a short week. Defense just got beat up. Got the three-headed offensive weapons right now for the Chargers. Unless this defense is able to get pressure, which they really weren't able to do against the Eagles, I think it's going to be a long one again for the Vikings. I mean, I'll be tuning in, but I'll probably be yelling the entire time. So sorry for anybody that's around me. Let's move this into Sunday, 1 p.m. games here. The Miami Dolphins making their way to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. Falcons are favoring this by -7.5, an over-under here of 45.5. Now, if you were like me and you started the Cleveland Browns defense last week, let's go. That was a 20-plus point defensive performance from them. It was nonstop against the Dolphins. I think it's going to be a fire sale coming up. We only have one more week before the trade deadline happens, so keep in mind November 4th, or about 2 weeks now. That's coming on us fast, and I think Miami might be one of those teams that when they lose this weekend to the Falcons, which is my game pick for the Falcons, I think we're going to start seeing some names pop up for trades.
Yeah.
And I think that names will include Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phelps. I don't think a guy like Chop Robinson will be there. Maybe they'll move again from Minkah Fitzpatrick. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it could be, like you said, a full fire sale, but I think that the Falcons right now are on the opposite wavelength. They're playing at home, and they have, just been great the last 2 weeks. I will say, I know that it didn't show it in the box score, but they did look so good last week. It's tough to kind of match the hype against the win against Buffalo. But I love them here as well at home. Pretty simple. It's like you said, Sean, last week. Miami probably will not be getting picked too much on this show this season. Just the way the trajectory is just an absolute, it's just a disaster right now for them on all fronts. I mean, you got your quarterback talking about, his team in the way that he was, and you're like, Tua's acting like he hasn't played with these guys for the last couple of years, and it's unfortunate. We don't want to see a guy like Mike McDaniels go down, but if they lose this weekend, I could definitely see that happening. He may have to take the blame for all this madness. But let's go Atlanta at home. Loving what Drake London's been doing with Michael Penix. They've been great. And right now they're 2-1 at home. So go for it here for sure.
Hopefully, all I want to see from the Falcons is just a little bit more consistency, week in and week out. It's like 1 week amazing, 1 week's not amazing. 1 week amazing, 1 week not amazing. This offense get consistent. It's going to be scary. We have another great one for everybody when the New York Jets make their way to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. Bengals heard this one -6.5 and over under here at 43.5. Joe Flacco immediately making an impact, getting a win for them against Aaron Rodgers in the Unk Bowl. You can see he was making that impact. He even had a read option run. If you're a Jamar Chase owner and now a T. Higgins owner in fantasy, you must be quite happy with those results. I mean, Jamar Chase is already killing it, but especially if you're T. Higgins right now.
Yeah, they're all getting love out there. And even Chase Brown, man, getting 100 yards last week. I like him to go for another 100 this week. I think that's a big game plan, is even though Flacco's absolutely ripping it and they have the receivers for a quarterback like a vet to come in and do that, I do think this could be a big run game for them. I think they'll be up in this game, which will be unfamiliar territory for them this year. But, man, Jamar last week, 16 catches. That's absolutely insane. 23 targets, I believe. We haven't seen something like that in a while. We know that he's one of the only guys really capable of a game like that. So it's good to see it. Unfortunate for the Steelers fans, obviously. We were kind of both gunning for the Steelers last week, but the winless Jets kind of give me no reason right now. Another team that, like Miami, should be on the fire sale. They have so many good assets, but I'm not really sure what's going on out there. So I'm going to take Cincinnati. I'm not going to take them. I'm not going to take the spread on this. I would just take them straight up because 6.5 has like a trap in a game with like these two bad teams.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely don't take the spread. Do take the money line. I'm also going to go with Cincinnati. Jets is just rough, and like Woody Johnson attacking the quarterback, being like, seeing other teams with a similar quarterback like that not be able to complete a pass, and you're like, oh man, this doesn't feel like it's like yes, it's Justin Fields' fault. Yes, it's the offensive coordinator and everything else, but like when you're saying that, and he's been so ineffective the last like decade plus, you're kind of like, shut up, Woody Johnson. So I'm going with the Bengals. I think that the Jets get cooked, and I do think similar to what you're saying, like they are going to be a fire sale. You got guys like Will McDonald, you got Jermaine Johnson, you got some weapons on the defensive line, some depth where you can move and get some assets right now. Let's keep this moving along. We have the Cleveland Browns making their way to New England to take on the Patriots. Patriots are favoring this by -7 with an over-under here of 50.5. Drake May looks like the future, man. I mean, they were playing great, 80+% completion against the Titans last week, and not just dump off slip screen passes or like checkdowns. We're talking deep balls, great throws. I'm locking in the Patriots in this one. I do think that the Browns defense is going to give them some trouble. I don't think it will be as easy. I don't think the game will be as perfect for Drake May. But I think that this offense and defense is much more complementary right now than what the Browns have to offer. Despite Quinshon Judkins scoring 3 touchdowns, they didn't pass the ball very well. Dylan Gabriel still struggled with that. I do expect them to not necessarily be able to just get 3 touchdowns up against the Patriots. This is a pretty good defense as well. I'm sticking with New England in this one, but again, I do think a little bit of trouble here and there for New England.
Yeah, I mean, the Browns, they were playing great last week. Like you said, their defense was actually just unbelievable the whole time, against Miami last week. It's just crazy to think that the Browns haven't beat the Pats since 2010. In the last time, they're on a 4-game losing streak right now. So I know they're going to New England with a little bit as a franchise with a chip on their shoulder here. I am going to take New England. Even though Drake May did not get his over for me this week, and I'm sorry for anybody took that, but I will say that, like Sean said, there's a lot of progression going on with the Patriots right now. I think that, he's going to be on the run this week with Myles Garrett a lot, but he's loving all the receivers right now and getting everybody involved, which I think is Mike Vrabel's plan. I think Cleveland just gives them a good matchup this week to kind of continue to fight for the AFC East, which we know that's really their goal. After beating Buffalo a couple weeks ago, they are really trying to set the tone right now. So I love Cleveland. Judkins with a hat trick last week in his rookie season. This kid is a legit NFL running back, but I would like to see the offense get a little more involved. I feel like we haven't seen Jerry Jeudy, who we were huge on going into this season. So I'd love to see all those guys getting a little bit more involved in the passing game, seeing Dylan Gabriel air it out. But go Pats this weekend at home. Forget about it.
Yep, we absolutely love that. All right, let's keep this moving along. So we have your New York Giants making their way to Philly to take on the Eagles. Eagles are favorites by -7.5. This is a pretty quick turnaround for these two teams. They just saw each other just 2 weeks ago. Both of them are coming off of road games. What are your thoughts going into this one? Obviously, Giants did not end the game as you were expecting them to end the game.
Yeah, third quarter I was hyped, man. I was a little nervous. I knew it was coming. I've seen it before, but a 33-point comeback is just straight up unfortunate. You just have to make a certain amount of mistakes. Jackson Dart, for the second time this season, has now given up an interception in a double-digit score. We now have 3 blown double-digit leads out of the 6-7 games we played. We can't let it become a theme, and I think it's really on Shane Bowen with the defense. He's just making insane subs, and not being able to utilize this pass rush is unbelievable for a guy at this level. So I like the Giants this week. I'm going to take them again. They just beat Philly. I feel like they know how to play them, and I think that it's really going to be just on Philly here to do what they did last week, to get the ball down the field and rush, do what they got to do. The main thing is that I know Philly in these games where they've been favored by a lot, they wind up keeping it close. I think if they keep it close and the Giants can keep it mistake-free and keep the time management on their side, we were saying it before the show, Saquon, before this season we would have been like, holy crap, but he hasn't had one 100-yard game, and it's about to be week 8, so I'll take the Giants in this one. I'm kind of hoping Kayvon gets up on sacks too, because he's only had 2 on this year, and Brian Burns had 2 last week, so I'm going to go with the Giants, but I want to see the Eagles start airing it out more.
Yeah, they aired it out last week against the Vikings, and I do attribute that to more the Vikings not playing well than the Eagles being amazing. I think Jackson Dart has that dog in him. The box score itself, if you look at his completion percentage, doesn't look pretty, but that's why you don't look at the box score. You got to watch all the other stuff, because it's the crucial moments that he's making these throws and these big time moments. And look, the Giants lost that game, but it was not because of the offense. It didn't the offense wasn't always scoring, but
true.
When push came to shove, Jackson Dart led them down the field, scored a touchdown. I did think that was a questionable PI call, because he did technically turn around. I don't know what the rule is on PI anymore, but we'll take it where we get him. You know what I mean?
Questionable.
I don't know what PIs are anymore, and I don't think the NFL does, and they haven't known it since the Seattle 2013 game against Green Bay with the famous touch reception. So
Intertouch reception?
Yeah, we don't know what things are ever since then, it seems like. But I am going with the Giants. I don't trust the Eagles still. They got the win last week against,
that's a good way to put it.
against the Vikings. Unless they are able to start showing it, it still feels like the 2023 Eagles from a couple years ago, where they were really, really great for 10 games, and then the last 6, 7, they just could not figure it out. But it feels like it's right now. Mm-hmm. I'm curious to see how this game goes. This is definitely one that I'll be tuning into. I will go alternate spread, though. I think the Giants keep this close. I don't think a touchdown is what's going to decide this game, especially that it was a blowout last game and they were on the road. I would not trust that one. So do take that one. Let's keep this,
man. We were just saying that, last 2 weeks ago, Jalen Hurts, in games where he's favored by 7 or more, he's 0-11 in his last ones. And that went on with the Giants. So just keep an eye on that trend. Even if you're waiting for live or close, just keep an eye on that game.
Always watch. Keep a close eye. If you're like me and you're able to, get 4 boxes, keep in one of those boxes. All right, let's keep this moving along. We got the Buffalo Bills making their way to Carolina to take on the Panthers. Bills favored this by -7.5, then over under here 46.5. Locking in the Bills on this one. Carolina Panthers going to be without Bryce Young for the next 2 to 4 weeks with a high ankle sprain. Andy Dalton's going to be in on this one. They just seem to have gotten it together. Then they put up a pretty ugly-looking game against the Jets. The Bills are coming off of the bye week. They're coming off of 2 really ugly games. You know, the MVP chatter for Josh Allen quieted down quickly these last 2 weeks and really circulated towards Baker Mayfield. I think this is where he says, hey, don't forget about me. This is why I'm still part of that conversation this week. It's going to be up against a pretty easy, not easy, but manageable defense in this case. I'm locking in the Bills. I really do feel like this is their get-right game and shows why they're easily a top 5 team in the NFL.
Sean, do you know what your fellow Sean McDermott, the Bills head coach's record is after a bye week?
What is his record?
He has 8 games. What do you think he has?
8-0.
He is 8-0 after.
Let's go. Let's make it 9.
I think this is an easy one. Like you said, they've had plenty of rest. They have to get a get-right game here, especially like we were talking about. Pats are chasing. I like the Bills in this one. Big Josh Allen game for sure. I think this is maybe the week we start to figure out if Keon Coleman is the number 1 receiver. He's going to be matched up against J.C. Horn, who had 2 picks last week. So we used to love J.C. Horn, and the Panthers got really bad. Now we love J.C. Horn again. So but go Bills. I think Josh Allen's just got to pick up, like you said. And big James Cook game. I'd take him at 100 yards just because he's hit that 3 out of 5 games this year, and he's over 87 and 4 out of 5. So I love that.
Definitely smash that bet. You know this team is going to run through him for them to succeed. All right, let's keep this moving along. We have the Chicago Bears making their way to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. Ravens are favored this by -6.5, and over under here of 50.5. Now this is a little bit surprising considering that Lamar Jackson still isn't practicing. It's very up in the air about what is happening with him right now in terms of playing this week at this moment. Some reports seem like he's going to. If you look on ESPN Fantasy, he currently is projected to have points this week. There's a reason why they're 6.5. Is there something Vegas knows that we don't? But other reports are saying that he's not going to be in at all this week, and that he'll be out for 1 more week at the very least.
Thank God.
Either way, stay away from that spread.
Thank God he doesn't play in San Francisco. Like we always say, how those beat reporters treat the injuries. It's feeling like that this week. How are they favored, Sean, by a touchdown when they're 1-5 team against the Bears, who are on a 4-game win streak? Like, I'm going to take the Bears this week, but there's got to be some form of reason. The Bears just look good to me. They don't look great to me, but they're winning games. Baltimore is not looking great. I mean, right now, 2 games without Lamar, they're 61 and it's 61-13 in total score. Like, they're the 13.
That's not good.
So I'm looking at it like he has to come back this week. I think they know that. Going 1-6 is going to be crucial to their odds probability, and this is a get-right game for them. I'm taking Chicago. I think this is a great underdog play, and I will take this all day.
Yeah, and if anybody, I totally agree with everything that you said. The only thing I hope to see is just Caleb Williams passing the ball a little bit more.
Yeah. So
many weapons. Also, I think right now, if you're a Bears fan, you got to be slightly punching the wall where you're like, why didn't you draft Tyler Warren? Like, this dude is so explosive right now for the Colts. Because Colston Loveland has just been MIA for this team also. Just something that I just want to point out. Hopefully they get this passing offense together a little bit more. But DeAndre Swift was amazing. I'm going to take them in this one as well. If you're worried to take the money line in this one and you agree with Vegas for whatever reason, I do think you can take the spread. I feel like a touchdown for this one, we said it earlier, feels like a trap. This is also one of those games where if the Ravens pull this one off without Lamar Jackson, it's not going to be pretty. If Lamar Jackson's in, I think yeah, you could probably comfortably take them for the money line. I would now see it, but right now it doesn't look like he's going to be in. I'm not trusting it, and at 1-5, you're not rushing him back. If he's at 98%. Wait that 2%. You're 1-5. There's no need to try to force him to come back and ruin what you have going forward.
You don't want to Cooper rush him back. You know?
Oh, I like what you did there. I see what you did there. I like it. All right. Let's keep this moving along to the San Francisco 49ers making their way to Houston to take on the Texans. 49ers are favored this one -1.5 with an over-under here of 41.5. Now, Mac Jones, 5-1 right now as the 49ers starter. looking pretty good. Texans, are they out of the AFC already, or is this a chance for them to potentially come back in this one? What do you think?
I don't know, man. A lot of questions with these two, and shockingly amazing, competitiveness from the 49ers. Right now, even with Mac Jones there, Sean, they are the number one passing team in the league. I do think this week that kind of starts coming to an end. Houston is scrappy. They did have, issues with the Seahawks in their run game the other day. So I do believe the Texans, one place that they do benefit is their passing defense. I'd love to see a little more out of Stingley. He'll have an easier matchup this week. And the banged-up O-line for San Francisco has to be good for that Texans defense. I will take that. I like Will Anderson to get a sack this week as well. Nico Collins, I really want to see more out of him. Last week in prime time in a favorable matchup versus Seattle, he kind of disappeared on us. But Dalton Schultz, I believe, 90 yards on 8 catches last night. I mean, crazy stuff. So I think National Tight End Day, we got 2 great tight ends in this one. I think a big Dalton Schultz game, but Kittle's got to have more than just 2 targets for nothing like he had last week, right?
Yeah, putting up a goose egg was really shocking, just considering that he finally came back and he's one of their major weapons and is fully healthy. Although, when you got CMC running like that, it does not matter. He's looking absolutely electric. They're going to keep running through them. I do like the Texans' defense in this one. I'm going to stick with the 49ers. They did have Bryce Huff get injured last week, which is another brutal injury for them.
I don't mean to laugh. It's like every week you have an injury report, it's always a 49ers player.
It's brutal. Gotta just change the trainer or something. But I'll go with them. I like them on the road. They got the loss last week. I think that this is a game where, maybe they just surprised. Texans are 50-50. Let's see what they're able to do. All right, let's keep this moving along. We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers making the way to New Orleans to take on the Saints. Tampa Bay's favored this by -6.5 and over under here 47.5. I'm locking in the Bucs despite all the injuries, which is brutal right now because Mike Evans will not have the chance to break Jerry Rice's record for 12. He has 11 1,000-yard seasons, but he was going for 12 straight. But now with the broken clavicle, he's out for the remainder of the season. Potentially back for the playoffs, though, if and when they make it. Emeka Buga, wide receiver 1. Tez Johnson, wide receiver 2. Going to be these rookies leading it. But right now with the Saints, I just, I've said it the last few weeks, don't like anything Saints.
Yeah, I don't like anything Saints either. I'm going to make this one simple for the people, but we hate to see Mike Evans go down like that. Straight up was not. It took him a while to get up, and you hate to see it from a tough guy like that. New Orleans, I don't know what's going on with them. Outside of Olave, who, again, looks phenomenal, had 2 touchdowns last week. Not too much of a bright spot here. Tampa definitely feeling that loss in prime time against the Lions. They were wishing they were fully healthy in a matchup like that. Could be a potential playoff matchup as well. But, yeah, like you say, Sean, let's keep it moving and move on from this one.
Yeah, next game is actually pretty good. We have the Dallas Cowboys making their way to Denver to take on the Broncos. Broncos are favored this by -3 with an over-under here of 50.5. Broncos narrowly escaped their win last week against the Giants. And again, some of what you're talking about, was it the Broncos playing really great, or was it just the Giants maybe making some bad calls and some bad mistakes from Shane Bowen that ultimately costed them, especially late there in the game? Dallas had an incredible game last week. CeeDee Lamb returned and showed why he's their wide receiver 1.
Yeah, and shout out to our boy Christian. He was at that game having a time, went to the suite. That was awesome stuff. Great game to go to. Right now they are trying to be the top team that they can be in the NFC East. Right now the Dallas Cowboys, just having 390 yards per game. That the Denver Broncos defense is looking to make sure they stop that. They have a great defense as we saw last week. Love to see Pat Surtain up on CeeDee Lamb this week. George Pickens, too, has a big opportunity. This Dallas O-line looks a lot better than I thought it did. And they just keep scoring and winning as underdogs. There's going to be a tough one on the road for sure, but Dallas is kind of looking a lot better here in Week 8 than I thought they would have in the beginning of the season. But shout out Denver last week, 33 points, on the memoriam of Demaryius Thomas. I thought that was a big thing, but man, Bo Nix, 2 rushing touchdowns. All the believers, get ready. It's coming. It's the Bo Nix wave. So, and man, Cortland Sutton still looks really great. They're getting Evan Ingram involved again. So, let's get it, Broncos. But I'm gonna take the Cowboys in this one.
I'm going to go opposite of you. I do think that Dallas is playing great, especially Dak Prescott. Love him or hate the Cowboys. Dak Prescott's playing well, dishing the ball out, putting the ball where it needs to be, allowing his wide receivers to make plays. I am going with Denver in this game. I do think I kind of like the over in it, but I do ultimately think that this Denver defense is better and will make the stops and the plays when it needs to, compared to this Cowboys defense, which has suffered a lot of injuries throughout the season, and just is overall is a little bit lackluster. I've seen trade report rumors that they're looking at Max Crosby with these 4 first-round picks that they have, and it's like, well, why'd you let Micah Parsons go if you're just going to trade these picks for Max Crosby right now? I don't get it, what's going on over there in Jerry's world, but I am going to go Denver. I do just like their defense a little bit more, and I trust them. I have something about this over that I like. Let's keep this moving along because this will be another easy pick. We have the Tennessee Titans making their way to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. Indianapolis serving this by -14 with an over-under here of 47.5. Tyler Lockett just got released. Jonathan Taylor's coming off of his 3rd game with 3 touchdowns. He is just absolutely playing incredible this season. I'm locking in the Colts. I don't know if I'll take the spread in this one at -14. That's just such a big spread. But I do like them for sure to win, especially at home, especially with what happened last week against the Chargers and the way that he's playing and the way this overall team is playing. Love everything about it.
Yeah, I'm with you. This is going to be probably one simple one. I'm going to stay away from anything that's not Jonathan Taylor right now. I think that, this team right now, you can't really tell who they're going to utilize, but they're all just doing good stuff over in Indianapolis right now. I mean, they're 6-1. Nobody's really talking about it. Daniel Jones looking fantastic, and I mean they're right behind the Cowboys in terms of points per game, leading the league. So with 280, so you're looking at 280 yards per game. That Tennessee obviously will probably inflate this weekend, most likely. So Tennessee, I'm just not loving anything that I'm seeing from them. I'm not loving we usually get hype about if a coach firing, there's a guy who steps in, we love him. Not really this time. I think this is going to just be a tragic season for the Titans. They'll probably join the list with Miami and the Saints of teams we probably won't be picking too much this year. But that's all I got to say about that outside. Jonathan Taylor should be the offensive player of the year favorite right now.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if he wasn't. If it's not going to be him, by the way, it has to be Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Oh, for sure.
I like if you're not going to go with JT for whatever reason, which I'd be shocked if people are not going to pick him for it. You have to go Jackson Smith and Jigba at the very least. All right, let's keep this moving along. It's Sunday Night Football. Green Bay Packers making their way to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. Green Bay's favored this one by -3 with an over-under here of 43.5. Now, Micah Parsons saved them last week with his 3-sack performance. And Aaron Rodgers has a chance to make history as the 5th quarterback in NFL history to beat all 32 NFL teams. Is he going to do that, my man?
Man, I mean, the Packers are looking pretty good this year, and the Steelers have to be embarrassed about that loss that we were talking about to Cincinnati. They have had the time. We've seen the teams that come off Thursday Night Football off a loss, and they've had this time, and they've bounced it back. So don't get me wrong. The Steelers right now, they're not as bad as we want them to be, but, I mean, the way Jordan Love is clicking with Romeo Doubs and Tucker Kraft and Matthew Golden the last few weeks, Josh Jacobs is playing. He went in last week. Is he going to be sick? Nope. He just still has a great game. I think this is, the Packers' time. So they're in prime time on the road. Aaron Rodgers, definitely revenge game vibes out here. I'm probably going to take his over this week in passing. I probably a DK Metcalf touchdown as well, because there's nothing Rodgers likes to do than hit his number one receiver for a touchdown. However, I'm expecting a big game out of Josh Jacobs in prime time. There's really, no other guy I'd trust more in this game to get stuff done.
I'm going to go with the Steelers in this one. It's a tight AFC North race still between them and Cincinnati, and that loss to Cincinnati is going to sting them. We talk about always winning the divisional games, having to show up when those games matter the most, and that defense did not show up, and that's the staple of Pittsburgh is how good that defense is, how good that defense is, how good that defense is. And it just was not good last week at all. They were just getting torched everywhere. They had no answer for anything whatsoever. Mm-hmm. I think that this is one of those games where they have to get right. I don't think Jordan Love is playing as good as this offense really can at the moment from what we saw from the first 2 weeks. So I'd love to see at least that happen. But I like the Steelers on the way. I think that Aaron Rodgers makes history. I think that he has a little bit of something to prove for this one. You know, playing his former team, former coach, guy who took over for his position there. So I like it. Now have the Pittsburgh Steelers home crowd behind him. I'm going to take them in this one. Let's keep this moving in. Last game of the week and only one Monday Night Football game this weekend. Not a weird 7 p.m., 10 p.m. for us East Coast people. We have the Washington Commanders making their way to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. Chiefs favored this by -10 with the over-under here, 47.5. Rashee Rice immediately made an impact with 2 touchdowns. Jaden Daniels is injured. We're unknown about whether or not he's going to be in. Probably going to be a game-time decision, especially because it's a Monday football. They're going to keep this close to the chest until the last minute, I assume. It is good to note that he injured the other knee, but I'm going to still take the Chiefs in this one because if he's not starting or if he's even banged up in it, Steve Spagnuolo's defense is going to have a field day with that. And I think that this Chiefs team, sadly, and I only mean sadly, not because we didn't want the Chiefs necessarily to be good this year, but I didn't necessarily want the Chiefs to be good this year. I'm so tired of dynasties. But they're great again, and they're probably going to finish with a very good record because this team is healthy, and they're healthy when it matters the most, and they survived with a decent record before they got their number 1 wide receiver back.
Yeah, man. I mean, and they got everybody back now, which is just unbelievable. You know what's crazy is when you date it back all the way to 1976 between these teams. The Chiefs have not lost a game to the Commanders since 1983. They are 9-1 all time against the Washington team. So whatever the Washington team was named since literally 1976, and they play again in 83. They had never won. I'm taking Kansas City double-digit favorites at home. Especially with Jaden. Jaden could be healthy. McLaurin could be healthy. I'm still taking the Chiefs in this one. Sure they can make me eat my words, but this game, this is going to be, hey, we shut out the Raiders last week at 1 o'clock. You know what we're going to do this week? We're going to destroy the Commanders on Monday night for the world to see that the Chiefs are kind of back. And I don't want to, I feel like you cut that clip up and it's going to make me seem like I'm some big Chiefs lover. I'm not, but it's like we said last week, the time of them being banged up and other teams getting these wins over them, that's over. You're going to have to earn them. And, I mean, this is crazy stuff, man. It's just the Chiefs seem to constantly dominate them, and this is, at home, there's, when I think this is a big week for Travis Kelce, though. This is going to be the last game of National Tight End Day, so maybe throw a little bit on Ertz and a little bit on Kelce out there.
Yeah, stay tuned in that Discord for those bets on Monday night and this weekend. Just saying football. Just check us out whenever you guys want to. That's all the time that we have. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for listening. Week 8, man. Can't believe it. Fantasy playoffs approaching soon.
Don't get me too excited about fantasy playoffs. We got work to do till then, obviously. But I'll say thank you guys for all watching. Check us out. Always Just Saying Football on YouTube and Spotify. Get us in your ears. Check us out on Instagram for all of our updates at Just Saying with no GWJS. And make sure to follow the Discord, Just Saying Football. Just like Shanzi said, have a great week.
Enjoy.